It's Catherine. I'm checking in on another carnivore holiday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And I don't know how many carnivore holidays this is. I first went carnivore during March Meatness in 2018. So I've done many holidays, either carnivore or close to carnivore. So today I had a beautiful tri-tip that had a fat cap on it and roasted that in the oven. And along with that, I had eggs and bacon. And then I did make that dessert. And the recipe is in the posts that I have on my channel. One thing I do want to mention is the way I made it in that recipe might be a little bit dark, might be a little bit rich. You might want to go a little bit easier on the cocoa powder and maybe add a little bit more cream to lighten it up just a little bit. But one of the things I want to talk about in this live is reward deficiency syndrome, because reward deficiency syndrome is an epigenetic adaptation, and I do believe it is partly an adaptation to the fact that my ancestors went through the Great Famine. We've seen research that has been fairly recent has looked at reward deficiency syndrome, which is it's a genetic shift in the dopamine receptors, the A1 allele of the D2 dopamine receptor, and all these adaptations are advantageous for a reason. And the way I explain it and the way it feels to have this adaptation is that things have to be either essential or exhilarating or exciting. It's that kind of middle road where we don't seem to have the same response to dopamine that other people would have. You know, these folks, like friends of mine who, you know, the minute a bill comes in the mail, they pay that bill. Very easy to like make their bed in the morning. And the way I describe it is that some of these little things that we do to manage our lives, keeping things tidy, the little things that can add up to success, it's a feeling of insufficient reward. So I feel insufficient reward from those things, which in my childhood, when I got taken off of my 2 soft-boiled eggs that I would have every morning as a child and put on cereal like Quisp and a one-a-day kids multivitamin, I discovered at that point that I couldn't get satisfied anymore. So what was happening is I started to seek these really exciting foods, the foods that would like overstimulate and excite my taste buds. And I can even specifically remember when I was very young, only about 5 years old, eating Kentucky Fried Chicken and thinking, wow, I need to sneak back in the kitchen and have another piece because I'm not full. And even as a small child wondering, what is it about this chicken that makes me feel like I'm still hungry even though I'm full? And it may be this RDS, reward deficiency syndrome, this adaptation in the D2 receptors that is also seen, and the main researcher is Dr. Kenneth Blum, and you can go to my website, catherinetraining.com, and I have several little blog posts about different articles, the scientific articles about RDS. And he originally started researching addiction and overconsumption of alcohol. And then he found the same kind of pattern, this RDS pattern in gambling, carbohydrate consumption. One of the best scientific articles that I've read on it specifically first talks about alcohol and then immediately next talks about carbohydrates and sugar. And just this sense that you need this heavy extra hit in order to stimulate the dopamine receptors in somebody who has RDS, this A1 allele. But one of the most interesting studies I saw was on some contemporary hunter-gatherers. Some of them had already moved into town, but there were some who were still living their ancestral lifestyle. And they did a study, and they do this, they can do PCR testing to see if you have this A1 allele. And they found that these populations that had stayed hunter-gatherers and had stayed with this ancestral lifestyle, many of them had this A1 allele. And this is why I think that they adapted to have that, is because I said before, the essential and the extraordinary, we have this ability, and I think populations like me who are descended from populations that experienced famine. So my people came over during the Great Hunger, during the Potato Blight, right around 1849, 1850. And it makes me think that the people who survived that, the people who lived through that, who lived through starvation, and of course the Irish Catholics from even really from the 14th century with the statutes of Kilkenny, they were oppressed people. And one of the most interesting things is that when the Normans invaded Ireland, one of the first things that they blocked access to is they blocked their access to deer. So immediately when we see societies come in with more weapons, more technology, very often the first thing they block access to are those vital foods that make people healthy and strong. So I do think that that may be the Irish connection to RDS, reward deficiency syndrome. And I hope you'll take a look and just raise your awareness of what might be going on with this epigenetic adaptation. But the good news is having RDS and having to find a way to live a healthy and successful lifestyle and get the work I need to do done. I realized fairly early on that I was one of those people that was going to have to choose a profession, a vocation that had to do with the things that I loved, that I was passionate about. And of course, for me, singing, dancing, the arts, and athletics as well, and also animals and agriculture. So looking to the generations that are coming up that might be dealing with ADHD, which also seems to be involved with reward deficiency syndrome, we might be able to encourage them and help them and say, let's find out what really matters to you and give you the tools that you need to be successful in those areas, in those things that really matter to you, so that you can be involved in the essential and the exceptional. So another happy St. Patrick's Day, another carnivore or close to carnivore holiday, and I hope to have many more. Be well, everybody. Eat for yourself, or as I like to say, eat and let eat.